Assalamu alaikum guys. I'm just crouching so that everything can get in the video frame hopefully. So we just recently got a order for a dozen shafts, or a dozen arrows, sorry, fully made up. So I've just finished fletching them, 12 of these with this nice yellow fletching, and it's got the protective thread on it as I've shown in other videos. So now we need to cut the shafts because this particular customer has ordered them to 29.5 inches. So we need to chop off a little bit. So the way I go about doing this, because I've seen lots of people, this is in particular to carbon fiber, arrow shafts. I've seen things online that people use pipe cutters, which is one of these. They basically just put the arrow in there, and then they tighten it up and then basically ring it until it causes a line in there and it snaps off or something like that. I really don't like that method, because you're basically putting pressure on these carbon fiber shafts in order to score it, and you could be causing micro fractures along the shaft. I'm just not willing to take that risk. So I don't know if it works or not. I haven't tried it myself, but I don't want to find out whether or not it works, because even if it does, how are you supposed to measure any fractures in the shaft that you've just created? You can't really. So the way I do it, guys, is I have my little Ozito tool here. It's just a little multi-tool here. Okay, like a little cutter thing, comes with this little extra attachment, and this is like 40 or 50 bucks from Bunnings Warehouse. Comes with all of these little assorted pieces. I'm sure you guys have all seen them before. It's really not that expensive. So they come with this little angle grinder head on it, and I thought I've used this in the past quite a bit, but they tend to chip. So I bought these little diamond coated discs for $1.50 for like 5 of them online. So it took a while for them to come, but they came, and I attached it on there. So that's what I use to cut these carbon shafts. And honestly, guys, they give a really professional, like, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between these ones that I cut in my garage and the ones they cut in the factory. So basically, the setup that I have here, guys, it's really simple setup. I've got this vise here. This is like a drill press vise, so it's quite heavy. It's probably about, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 kilos, something like that. So all I do is I get the bit there, so the part that actually cuts, and I put it in my vise. Okay, and I just clamp it in there, guys, quite tight, just to make sure it doesn't move anywhere. Okay, we want to get our measurement first. So I'm just gonna measure it on the table here. So that's 1 and 29.5. This is my little measuring stick that I've just created, because I don't have a tape measure that measures in inches. They don't really sell that in Australia, or maybe they do, but anyways, so that's my little measuring stick that I've made up. And the last component, guys, is a block of pine with a skateboard bearing inside of it, and there's a little bit of wood inside there, and the arrow nock just sits in there, and it's allowed to spin freely inside there. Okay, so all I do is I put the blade on one mark, which is right there. Actually, I probably need to extend that marker a bit further. Okay, I'm going to clamp this down so it doesn't move anywhere. My vacuum cleaner. Okay, and then we'll grab this block here, grab another clamp, and I'm just going to set it on this. part here. Okay. Just making sure it's still on. Okay, cool. So what we do, guys, is we have to measure. So how do you measure it like a shaft? It's basically from the tip where the string sits inside of the knock, not the end there, but where that little, where the notch ends, okay? So we measure from there to the end of the shaft. That's your measurement. So when they say that a shaft is this long, that's the length that they should be giving you, because that side sits on the string, okay? And this side, the tip, will be sitting on your, coming to about your thumb just before you release, or just before. You can have an extra inch sticking out. I wouldn't have more than that because, look, it's not going to make a big difference, but when you become more and more experienced, you want to sort of maybe keep these things consistent. Okay, so what we'll do is we've marked this up, guys, the block, so that's on our mark there, okay, and that is ready to cut now. Make sure we use safety glasses before we cut, and just before I start cutting, I'm just going to take one more last measurement. Perfect, 29.5. Okay, I've got headphones here as my ear protection and glasses as my eye protection, and a vacuum cleaner so that none of the dust particles go in the air, they go straight into the vacuum. Okay, so that was all 12 of them. And I don't know how well this camera will pick up. It wasn't picking up stuff really that well before, but that's the finished product, guys. I'm not sure how well you guys can see that right now, but there isn't any sort of step ups or notches or anything. It cuts really cleanly. There's no splinters from the carbon fiber. So it's a really professional looking cut, and now these arrows are ready to glue on the CB inserts and put the tips on. So I hope that helped anyone out there who was curious as to how they can cut their own arrow shafts. If you guys have any questions, let me know. So cool.